right. What's up? Uh, yes. What's up, everybody in the internet world? Today I'm joined by what I can probably still describe as a die-hard flat earther. Is that still a good description for you, Alan?
Pretty close, yeah. Pretty
Okay,
close.
pretty.
I would say I'm saying probably more on your position where I'm not willing really to make the diehard claim, but I probably will make the claim that the Earth is complete bogus. Completely, yeah. It's
Like the sphere Earth is a complete bogus.
right, and that just unfortunately by default you have to kind of go with the next obvious determination, which would be pretty flat. And then, of course, later on after further investigation, you'll find it's probably biblical in the sense, and the Bible is a flat Earth book, no doubt.
Okay. Yes. There's a lot to discuss here, and I know I don't have very many, quote, religious people, and I bet you don't even like the term religious.
I don't. But yeah,
Yeah.
I know what you mean. And
Yeah,
I
like
typically don't
could
try to
I
impose
ask a
all
quick
that.
question? Let me ask you just a really quick question. Based on your um, approach to the Bible, and based on because I mean you believe in the Bible like pretty literally, right? Is that true?
For the first 30 some odd years of my life, I was a diehard atheist. But yes, now it's a literal interpretation of the Bible.
Okay. Could I ask you what do you think about like cursing and swear words and like because like a lot of times like that's perceived like you shouldn't curse. Is like is that actually a real thing? Is that just some like modern day cultural Christian thing? Like.
Um, well, I do all those things, but yes, you're not supposed to.
Okay.
It does have an impact on your life, no doubt.
Huh. Okay. Random
But
little
I'm guilty.
tangent there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, yeah. So, guys, I mean, yeah. So here we are. Look, we're here. It's the flat Earth theory. I mean, you had this rapper guy come out yesterday. He said that the Earth is
Yeah.
flat on Twitter. He got like 20,000 retweets, bunch of likes, and he's Kanye's pal. So, people laugh and they mock and they think that the flat Earth is ridiculous. But like I've said a million times on my channel, ridiculous is thinking you live on a spinning ball with no evidence because your first grade teacher told you. So, come on, guys, like grow up
Yeah.
and become a skeptic and just shut up and listen and learn something.
Amen. Yep.
All right, so Alan, so you have a YouTube channel called Flattening Atheists.
Flattening atheism. Yeah.
Mm, what's it about?
Well, it's about all my thoughts on the flat Earth and kind of like a lot what you do. Except I was doing it on originally on my channel Rhyme and Reason, but I decided to separate and have one channel just for this topic. And I have a personal calling to present flat Earth information because I know of its impact, particularly on atheists. Me being one of them, and so it's pretty important. And yeah, that's pretty much the purpose of it.
I find that very interesting because I've been thinking a lot about flat Earth and atheism lately, and
Hmm.
I alluded to it before we started recording, and it seems to me like the biggest defenders of the globe are atheists. I mean, that's definitely the case on YouTube, without a doubt. Like the most well informed on the topic, the most willing to debate, the most competent in this debate, who are debunking flat Earth, trying to debunk it. It's like 9.9 times out of 10, they are die-hard, hardcore atheists. And I think it kind of tells you, it tells you something about whose worldview the globe belongs to. It kind of
Hmm.
indicates to me whose fight it is. Like most people believe in the globe, but atheists don't make up most people. They're probably a pretty small percentage of
True.
the population. So it's strange to me that most people believe in the globe. Well, maybe those numbers have changed a little bit, but it seems like a lot of like the average and mainstream just it seems like the majority of people believe in the globe, but I don't think atheists comprise that much of a number. So I'm just surprised by how disproportionately atheist the flat earth debaters and debunkers are on the internet. And again, like to me, it just seems like a sign that the globe isn't the truth. It's just the religious symbol for the nihilistic, you're just live on a pale blue dot, insignificant, nothing matters except for physical matter, uh, ideology that comes along with the atheist physicalists.
Holy crap, guys. Can you see that? The Earth is freaking cat. Check them out, guys. The brand new The Earth is Cat t-shirts are now available. They come in a variety of shirts and colors. I also got some great mugs available, sweater hoods. Get yourself one of these The Earth is Cat t-shirts. I'll put a link to them in the description below. Get one from yourself right now.
Mm-hmm. And what's even more ironic is one of the biggest arguments for on the atheist side is that religious people believe in what they believe and they can't prove it, which oddly enough is not really that true. And then you deal with atheism, especially with the globe, and yeah, no one can prove it. No one can prove the globe is there.
Yes,
And so
the
it's
globe.
religion, just like you said. Yeah.
Lately, I've been calling the globe the unfalsifiable globe
Hmm.
because it's just so convenient that every proof of the globe, there's, to quote Neil deGrasse Tyson, enough quote wiggle room for the flat Earth yeah, for the flat Earth explanation to
Of
also
course.
work. So
Uh-huh.
it's gotten to the point for me where I'm just like, okay, it's you know what it seems like? It seems like the globe is this masterfully constructed, ad hoc sort of
Mm-hmm.
attempt to deceive people, by using the, to quote Neil deGrasse Tyson, wiggle room to stuff
Uh-huh.
in the deception here and there, and then and all simultaneously, robbing people of their subjective instincts, their intuition.
Yep.
I don't want to ramble on it because I did talk about it the other day in one of my videos, but I'll sum a few points up real quick. Like, you see the sun setting on the horizon, and to your eyes, it appears to be descending. It appears to be falling down as it reaches the horizon, as it's setting. But there's two possible explanations for what you're seeing. One possible explanation is, oh, that's the same thing as looking down a long hallway. The ceiling will descend in the distance down a long hallway. The sun could be just descending apparently due to our vision. But the other explanation is what the Globers say. Oh, that's not just a subjective consequence of how you see things, which you're deeply and intimately familiar with that, because if you ever look down a long hallway, you see the phenomena of the ceiling descending to eye level. No, 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 no. That's because you live on a ball, and the sun is a ball, and the
Hmm.
Earth is spinning around the sun ball, and that's what's creating this optical. So again, it seems like in the wiggle room, they stuff in the globe explanation, and at the same time, the globe explanation always tells you you can't trust your senses. No, it's not flat. No, it's not stationary. No, the sun and the moon are not the same size, even though they look that way. What a coincidence. I mean, all the
Hmm.
coincidences exploding out of chance. After a while, you're just like, what the hell's going on here? No, no, no. It turns out you can't trust your senses. The sun and moon aren't the same. One's actually 400 times further. Like, after a while, it just gets ridiculous.
And you have to trust your senses, of course, when it has to do with the sunset, because they say you can't trust your senses on anything else. But now that you're looking at it, now it's actually going over the curve. It couldn't be any other
That's
explanation
so
for it.
true.
How do you, sorry, you'll have to remind me, how do you screen share on this thing again?
I believe you will go to the three
Ah,
little
got it.
buttons on the top right. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if you've seen this or not, but this is someone took the P900 and did video of, here, I'll turn the audio off.
Sure.
Did video of the sun setting over the ocean and zoomed in. And so it starts off and the sun is, halfway, or not all the way halfway, but you can see it's going to about, here, like that. And when he zooms in, you're going to watch the sun rise again.
Yeah, I saw this the other day. Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
cool.
actually, no, it wasn't this one. This is way higher than the other one. God damn.
Yeah. So it's, you have a, I love it. So okay, I'll get out of the screen share
There
thing.
you go.
Um,
Stunning, stunning, stunning.
so
Absolutely stunning.
uh-huh. And so I mean, just like you get a lot of people when you're doing your live streams and stuff who are, they're just wiggling trolls or they're losing their mind. And on the same topic of wiggle room, that they get people like, well, explain this star and explain this and this. And the only honest skeptic is saying, I think the only truth is no one knows, or if there's anyone who knows what in the hell is
Hmm.
going on up there, they're certainly not going to tell us little peasants. And they're either hiding it from us or no one knows. And if this crazy world is flat, it could be anything going on up there. We don't. That's what I try to tell people. I'm like, if I think you were talking with my buddy the other day. When the last time we were talking, when you were doing that experiment
Hmm.
over that one lake
Yeah.
with all the pylons, and I was just trying to ask him. I was like, man, just be honest with me, please. Will you at least admit that if this world is flat, we have to throw out the whole rule book and start over again? And we just have to investigate. We just have to put things together. And luckily today we have the advantage of the internet and all of our technology. So we're gonna put it together a hell of a lot more faster than the guys did it 200-300 years ago. But
Oh
are
yeah.
you at least willing to admit that we have to start over and we just have to do science, do actual investigating like you do on your channel? Like you're one of the few people who are actually taking that plate and showing everyone the full complete experiment,
Hmm.
of watching one possibility of the sun going around
Mm,
what could be a flat disk. That's what we do. We're actually doing experiments that people
exactly.
can see. And the more household experiment and the more just kind of organic down to earth experiments are obviously going to be more true than some human testimony from some academic dickless loser who's working in some $30 million lab that none of us have access to, and yada yada yada. It's
Yeah.
just that's what we need is. And so anyway, on that topic of wiggle room, like with their high priest Neil deGrasse Tyson, if everything has wiggle room, then when they say, well, what about this and this, you're like, hey, well, it works for both
Exactly.
apparently. We're just going to have to look into it and
And
find
that and
out.
that's the thing. It's like it's it's devastating for the globe every time the
Yeah.
explanation works both ways. Because I said it before, like flat Earth has nothing to lose and everything to gain. The
Yep.
globe has everything to
Yep.
lose and
It'll
nothing to
destroy
gain.
everything.
Yes,
It'll destroy
because
the government. It'll destroy the media. It'll destroy everything. And everyone
yes,
knows that these organizations are worthless, completely worthless. No one
yes.
in their right mind is saying that we should trust the government or trust the media. Come on,
Hmm.
come on. So it's
Yeah,
going to be great.
yeah.
And
And
now,
go ahead, go
sorry, go
ahead,
ahead.
go ahead.
Okay, well, you did mention that a lot of the globe defenders and the anti-flat Earth people are atheists, which is definitely true. But there is also a substantial split going to happen in the church in the very near future, in the next year or two. There are a lot of Christians who are recoiling from this because they have such an ego attached, so just a love for everything that they've learned when they were growing up, and they're not willing to abandon it, even though their own text says it over 200 times. That has scriptures that will not make any sense whatsoever using the heliocentric model. It's a never ending twisting, turning tap dance that they do, especially in Genesis, the very first book of the Bible. If you read Genesis 1, completely abandoning what was shoved down our throats our whole life, and you just try to put together what the world would look like based on that, throwing out the globe entirely, it's a slam dunk. It's so clear that it's probably most likely flat. And there are Christians who have looked into this, and they have found that the flat Earth only fortifies their position. It's wonderful news for them, for the ones willing to be
God,
willing to be open to it.
here's what's
But
interesting. Here's what's interesting,
there's a
dude.
big problem in the church right now
Here,
going
look,
on with
listen,
it.
man. This is. I was looking through. I wanted to find out like where did flat Earth come from? This recent resurgence. So I went on to YouTube, and
Mm-hmm.
using Google, I was able to do a search on YouTube during YouTube's first few years that it was around, like
Oh wow.
2006, 2007. I wanted to see who the hell was talking about flat Earth back then, and I wanted to see
Huh.
how bad the debunkings were back then. Because at least the debunkings nowadays, like at least the flat Earth debunkings, like they're prepared for what a lot of the flat Earth counter arguments are. So they're much more competent sounding now like the ones
except
from
for
like
their
a few
NASA
years
spokesman.
ago. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
oh, the ship went over the horizon, bottom
Oh,
first. We
my
live on a
Mars.
globe, people. Like that ridiculous garbage. Like, so they, so I was looking for that, and what I found was that some of the first few flat Earth videos that I could find in the history of YouTube, based on my search, were
Wow.
atheists
Hmm.
using flat Earth as a ridicule mechanism against Christians, saying, "Can't you? How could anyone possibly be a Christian? The Bible says it's flat." And it
In
really
fact,
got me thinking. It's like, you know, I feel like I do feel like a lot of Christians are now caught between a rock and a hard place because I think Christians have compromised. Just like a lot of Christians probably believe in evolution as well because it's easier to go along, to get along, than to sound like an
you got it.
anti-science denier like Kent Hovind. You know, God
You
bless his
got it.
soul. Kent Hovind is a damn he's a god. Not literally, of course, but
Mhm.
he, you know, the way he debunked evolution and all his, I mean, just incredible. But I feel
And
like,
he's super anti flat Earth.
oh, I
He's one of the
know,
main Christians right now, and that's
I
it.
know.
In fact, I
That's my point. Is that
yeah.
just like when there were
Uh-huh.
probably Christians who attacked him for attacking evolution.
Yep.
He's now attacking flat earthers who are Christian and saying the Bible says it. So I feel like it's a thing about if you give them 1 inch, they'll take a mile. If you're a Christian, you can't compromise on a single word in that damn Bible. Because the moment, and I find it
That's right.
interesting how it seems like there's a lot of atheists who start believing in God because of flat Earth. There's another YouTuber, his name is
That's
Zoom
right.
Truth. He was an atheist his entire life, and the flat Earth got him to believe in God. So I feel
It is
like
an
that,
atheist slayer. It's so beautiful. It's such a perfect way to gently wipe the slate clean, and
but
you finally are operating under the original conditions that you should have been.
but you know what's interesting is that it seems like they know. It seems like the deceivers know that the flat Earth is the key,
Hmm.
and
It would seem to be the case that there's a strong relationship with Freemasonry,
mhm.
especially in the church, like in the Baptists and all that stuff. And so I think a lot of them do know, and they're trying to keep it from us.
Well, shit. I mean, that's when you start getting, into the deeper
Yep.
mechanics of the lie. And I'd love to learn more about this topic. So maybe if you know anything about, like, do the
Oh yeah.
Illuminati or whoever, do they know? Is this like a fundamental tenet of the Masons or whatever the hell you want to call? Like, do you know anything about that? Like, do they know?
Well, I'm assuming the only way you get to find out is if you dedicate years of your life to, you're stroking as many people as you can and getting up the ladder, and then you finally find out. But yeah, it's there's a contemporary that I have, a guy who I've done a lot of work with, and he has a channel called Your Curveless Earth and a website called flatearthdoctrine.com, and he talks quite a bit about the relationship between the globe and Freemasonry and their invasion into the church. And one thing that you can guarantee is in a fundamentalist church, a Freemason will never survive, because the fundamentalist church are like, I can smell that like stench of that rat from 10 miles away,
Mm.
and so that's that. I can't tell you the kind of peace and confidence that you get when you can finally read the Bible literally, because it's saying everything that the world is, particularly creation. And like for me personally, I had Christian friends nagging at me my whole life when I was an atheist just to read the book. Just please, just read it. And I open up in the very first chapter,
Mm.
I'm like, this thing's bogus, because everything that I've been taught is telling me the wrong stuff. It says the sun was made after the earth, and the sun was made on the fourth day, and you get the idea. So
Yeah.
it seems clear that Freemasons have invaded the church just as much as they have anything else, government and the media and all that stuff. And um, sorry, I forgot where I was going exactly with that, but
No, it's all right.
Nathan Roberts is his name. Your Curveless Earth is his channel.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Man, what the hell were you just talking about? It just slipped my mind too. What were you just talking about? Like literally the last
Uh,
sentence.
Freemasons
Okay.
invading, every aspect of
Yeah.
our lives. They're in the church too. There's a lot of evidence that shows in the Baptist conventions where they have documents showing of them trying to address the fact that there are Freemasons in there, and then the guy who wrote the document was a Freemason. So the whole thing's just this incestuous nightmare.
Hmm.
And yeah, again, I won't be able to draw it all back up at the top of my head right now,
Sure.
but it's out there. There's a lot of information on it.
Okay.
Freemason is straight up satanic. It's just straight up evil. I mean, we're talking about the top levels. I mean, they're raping children, they're drinking their blood. I mean,
Hmm.
it's going to be tough for people to hear, and of course, it's going to make us sound like a crazy. But I mean, come on, the evidence is so clear
Hmm.
when you look into it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is straight up evil. Not for most of the people involved. Most of the people involved are probably just kind of mindless, you know, boys club, kind of want to hang out, do stuff, pretend like they're doing something important. But like, there's videos of guys who are Freemasons who left Freemasonry because they're like, I keep showing up to these meetings, I'm spending all my time doing this, and all we're doing is raising money, and I'm going to these fundraisers, and I'm just carting water.
Yeah.
I'm the guy who stands behind a truck and just moves a bunch of food. And he's like, I didn't want to be in the Rotary Club. I wanted to be a Freemason and learn all the crazy, like, in-depth
Yeah. If
secrets.
only if only it was that easy, right? Like, come
Mm-hmm.
on, give me
Yeah.
a break.
So
Um.
anyway, if I may, thank you for having me back on again, man. This is a real pleasure, and I'm really appreciative of the work that you've done. It's delightful to watch this unfold, because when I was a hardcore atheist and I got into all this, all the stuff that you're talking about and the progression of everything you've been bringing up in your videos is very similar, very, very similar to what I went through.
That's
And in
crazy.
fact, my wife was saying, like, she's like, this guy's never going to talk to you again. You're embarrassing yourself. You think you're nuts. And I was like, I want you to just watch for a little while. If for your audience purposes, if they don't know, you and I spoke, I think maybe 9-10 months ago or something,
Yes.
and we haven't really spoke at all, really anything since, except once in a while, maybe send an email here and there. But
Yeah.
and she started watching it with me, and then I think after we spoke, you went like a week or something, and then you popped out another flat Earth related topic, and then another week went by, and there was one or two more, and then it just kept getting more frequent. Yada yada yada. I
Pretty
told my wife, I
much.
was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I said, look at that. It's like you just like me. I would assume every day more that you look at this, you just get more and more disgusted with the amateur hour, just juvenile evidence for the globe Earth. I mean,
Yeah.
it's disgusting.
I don't know
And
if you and I think we spoke before the SpaceX Tesla car Starman
just
launch. I
barely,
think we
yeah.
spoke before that. So
Uh-huh.
I have to admit that I did go through a phase of like 3 weeks after the Tesla Starman launch thing where honestly I just felt like flat Earth was dead, like in general. Like I not
Mm.
me personally, but I felt like the energy was like sucked out of the flat Earth movement for like 3 weeks. Like I felt like no one was really uploading videos. Everything seemed dead, and for me personally, I was kind of like, damn, like, fuck, is Elon Musk in on it too? Like, is
Oh
he
yeah.
also in on the fucking conspiracy?
Oh, there is no one more worthless than Elon Musk. I have never seen that guy do a damn thing except talk behind a microphone, and does a shitty job at that. Like, that guy has never produced anything. I mean, people looked inside his car and they're like, this is just an electric motor. This guy isn't a genius. I mean, all they're doing is painting up a nice picture, like his stupid little flamethrower. There's a video on YouTube of some guy taking it apart. All it is the receiver for like a, what do they call it? For some rifle, AR-15 or whatever,
Yeah.
and then a tank on top with a little tube that connects, and then there's a little plastic sheath on top. That's all it is. Like,
But
he's not doing
and that
anything
I've
innovative.
speculated before that is Elon Musk just like some autistic guy who was given the keys
No,
to the fucking kingdom?
he's so smart because he sounds so retarded. That's how
It's
he's
one
so
of those,
smart.
it could be. I'm wondering, like, it almost seems too good, but then the other day I was like, wait a minute, he named his car company Tesla, but I mean, I don't know the details about how his cars work, but aren't they just electric cars with a
You got
luxury body around them? I mean, what the
you
hell
got it.
has he actually revolutionized? And how dare you put Tesla, the king of free
Oh, I
energy, how dare
know.
you put his name on a piece of crap electric car? Like, how, are you
Yeah.
truly a revolutionary? And do your cars live up to the Tesla, the original Nikola Tesla name?
Yeah, right. He's worthless. He's 100% worthless, and any fool willing to give him money deserves to lose their money. I mean,
So
he's
you
completely
think he's
100%
worthless?
worthless.
Well, he did get sued recently by the
Oh yeah,
SEC, the Security
oh
Exchange
yeah.
Commission of the United States government, sued Elon because of his incompetent Twitter rampages, and people will be like, yeah, but Trump does incompetent Twitter rampages too. No, when Trump goes on Twitter, like he's a genius. Like he's
Yeah,
not incompetent at all. He's not doing things that are going to make his stock value plummet. Well, maybe when he ran for
and he has
president.
40 years of reputation of producing results.
That is true.
Trump does.
That is
Tesla
true.
has nothing.
And
Tesla's got
and
nothing.
what's
Not
the
Tesla. Elon Musk.
explanation? What's the strategy behind Elon Musk's random tweets that got him in big trouble? And basically, he got sued. He
He's
had to
probably
pay
high.
millions of dollars. He had to step down as the CEO or something like that, or as the chairman. Like, what was the
He's
strategy
losing it.
behind that? It just seemed like a fool's move.
Yeah, he's losing it. He's probably high on all the crazy drugs that they do up at that high level, and he's some squawking parrot that he just says what he's told to say, or he does his. Who
Do you think
knows?
it's possible that maybe his apparent unraveling on social media lately is because someone had to pull him aside and tell him, "Look, buddy, your dream to go to Mars, guess what? Space doesn't even exist, bro. You can't even get out of here. You're trapped." Do you
I
think
think he
maybe
knows
he's just
space
like
doesn't exist.
someone pulled him aside and told him the secrets and he's just fucking losing his mind because, he's or you think he's just a
No,
fucking idiot?
I think he knew it the whole time, or he's either a complete moron, which is probably less likely than he knows that space isn't real. And I mean, how could you put up a car orbiting the Earth? And if he actually thinks that's happening, then he's not running the joint. you
Right.
know,
Well, what's
that's
interesting
definitely.
is that okay, what did he do recently where he was just like just groveling at NASA's feet? There was a launch or something. Oh yeah, right before he announced the flight to the moon, like in the hours leading up to the his press conference for this flight to the moon he wants to do. Um,
Hmm.
he released these tweets like a few hours for the press conference, like just like giving all credit to NASA. He's like, by the way, I just have to say that without NASA, like none of this would be possible. So we just got to say thank you to NASA. And then he retweeted some NASA like chief dude and said,
Hmm.
this guy too. I thank him so much. And uh, and then I think a few weeks later, he's like, "Yeah, we love NASA, and without NASA, we wouldn't be able to do anything that we do without them." And so
Hmm.
it seemed it's oh yeah, he released a tweet saying like, "Yeah, our priority will always be to further NASA's security goals first and foremost. That will always be our priority at SpaceX." So it's almost like he
Hmm.
just handed SpaceX over to NASA. It makes you wonder
Yeah,
if SpaceX is really doing
he's the
their own
same
shit or if they're
prostitute he's
just
always
working for
been.
NASA.
Yeah, he's the same prostitute he's always been. I mean, and everyone holds up, Elon Musk because SpaceX, or they're saying that it's a private company. It's not even close to a private company.
Yeah,
Not even close. I mean, the amount of subsidies and just political grease downs and kickbacks that he gets for that, I mean, it's in the
yeah.
billions. Not even close to a private company.
I,
There's no way a private company would survive with that kind of incompetence.
I bet you're not even allowed to launch a rocket without government oversight and military permission. So
Yeah, that seems pretty obvious. I haven't looked into it myself, but I would imagine so. Yeah,
yeah.
comes to airspace and all that stuff.
Hey, what do you think about that First Man movie coming out in a couple weeks? You heard about First Man?
Yeah, it's as much of a waste of time as anything else coming out of Hollywood.
Yeah. I'm curious to see it just to see, like, you know, I feel like there's going to be a lot of weird subliminal shit tossed in there. I wonder if there's going to be any
Sure.
little winks or nods tossed in. Um,
Oh yeah.
I want to see how they, for lack of a better phrase, fake the moon landing. I want to see how they do it for the film. It's going to be, I want to compare it to the original stuff. I heard some people theorizing that oh yeah, the reason the Hollywood hasn't released a moon mission, moon landing movie in all these years is because it would be too obvious. People's brains would connect the dots and be like, "Ooh, that's a Hollywood production right there," but that looks just like the original one. And if they're indistinguishable, then how can you actually know which one's real, which one's not? But yeah, I'll probably go watch the
Have you
movie.
seen
I'll
the
probably do a review of
footage?
it afterwards if it's not too horrendous.
Have you seen the footage of the very first video of space? At least that's what they claim. Like I'm gonna find it here real quick. Let's see.
I saw
Okay, so
footage of the
here
first
is
guy in space, and it looked like a freaking clay animation.
yeah. Uh, okay, so here yeah, I found it here for you. I gotta do my screen share business. Okay, so this is I guess coming from a probe or some kind of satellite. I don't know what year it is, but you can see this was what they tried to pull off. Not it's after this stuff. Um, okay, they're looking up at it. Balloon going up. This is space.
Oh my god.
Yeah, look at the
No,
oh the
no,
moon, so
no way.
beautiful.
That's not real.
That's what they say. I mean,
No
unless
way. This
I
is
mean, I have
act.
to look
No
up it
way.
more
They're
to be
claiming
sure.
this is real footage of space. No way in hell.
Yeah, I'll look into it. I'll find out. But that's what it says. That's the video that apparently that was released to the public of what they took up there. So,
Oh my God. If
uh,
that's real, that's that right there. That's it. That's all I need to see.
I mean, it's so pathetic. It's so
I
terrible.
gotta look into that
So,
because that almost seems too good to be true. But
yeah. Well, a couple things that have been on my mind since watching your show. Since we spoke. First, I want to say you are absolutely spot on about the globe being the relativistic, atheistic, sad, empty existence. I mean that you whenever you talk about this stuff, you're right on. And the other one that hit me real hard that I wasn't so sure you were going to come to so quickly was if you consider the implications of this earth being flat. You asked me on our first interview, like, well, what went through your mind? And I couldn't really think of the word at the time. I think I said it was very humbling for me. But the word that you brought up, I would describe probably, or I would say probably describes it more clearly, is terrifying. I was absolutely terrified
mm,
when I found out that this is some kind of very strange flat lab experiment essentially, and
right.
uh, and that the dude who made it could very quite possibly be like right there, like
Mm,
the distance between San Francisco and LA, like just going up. That's how high the dome might be, and it could be like right there, and it was terrifying for me. So I applaud you for that, and so anyway, the main reason why I wanted to get in touch with you again was if your audience doesn't know already, I have a website called challengetheflatearth.com,
hmm
and it is a challenge that I'm making to anyone it's a $5,000 pledge to anyone who can produce the fully detailed, complete, and repeatable experiment that shows the world as a spinning ball. And the reason why I wanted to mention that was because I noticed a lot of times when you're doing your live streams and you're going back and forth with the shivering trolls, and they say things like, oh, you're so stupid, you're so retarded. And what I think is stupid is having evidence that the world is a spinning ball and not making 5 grand off of it. So you could just happily you can send them right over and say, hey, there's a guy with a website waiting for you,
Exactly.
and yeah. Now the reason why this involves you, if you're interested, I do mention on the website that I intend to have someone on with me, just because I don't want to be there myself. I was going to have someone do it with me. And since you're officially not a flat earther, I thought you would make a really good, objective kind of assistant or partner in this.
hmm
And anyone who tries to bring evidence, then they're of course going to claim that I'm going to say no to everything because I'm
Right.
a quote unquote flat earther. But since you're already making it clear that you're not there, I think if you're interested, that would be fun, And
But for what?
if you would
Just to
like to,
just to be like a second opinion on whether or not the evidence that's presented is legit type thing?
yeah, right. Or if they mention something and for whatever reason I'm unfamiliar with it, and you are, or you could look it up at the time or
Mm,
whatever, we would just work together and find out if ultimately my goal is if they present me with evidence, then I'm going to say, well, if I can't find any discrepancies, then you get 5 grand.
have
And
you
I
gotten
I
any
think
good
you
entries so far?
I've only had one person with the stones to contact me about it, or to at least to suggest that he wants to do it. And uh, I mean, you'll see there's terms and conditions on the website that talks about the entire presentation and debate will be live streamed face to face, and he refused to do it. He insisted over and over that he didn't want to do it, and he just would send me a bunch of pictures from Wikipedia or like just he'd send you a few videos of like the Foucault pendulum, but it's just a thing swinging. There's no like video showing the whole thing or how it's working or any of that stuff. And I already have a long laundry list of items that show that the Foucault pendulum is bogus. And anyway, and so I would just send him back and forth, and then eventually he bowed out because he couldn't produce. And so that's the only guy who's had any interest so far. And other than that, no one has stepped up to the plate for this experiment possibility that's so obvious that only a retarded person would claim that the world is flat. So,
Right.
If you're interested, I'd love to have you join me.
Well, I'll take a look at it. I have to look in your website a little more in depth, and I'll let you know. I'll let you
Yeah,
know. I don't know how much
yeah.
longer I'll be in the globe side, to be honest, though.
How long? What?
I don't know how much longer I'll be on the globe side, to be honest, though. I might be
Oh, I
ditching the
understand.
globe soon. Yeah. I'm getting
Yeah, I understand
closer. I'm
that.
getting closer every day. It's very crazy. I know
Indeed.
some people in my audience have been clinging to my agnostic stance on this matter as like their last hope that Chris is not
Mm,
gonna go flat. But every day, it's like every day I'm just like, man, this. Oh, you know what? Oh, Neil
mm-hmm.
Tyson. There's too much wiggle room. And there shouldn't be
Yeah,
wiggle room for the most obvious concrete reality right underneath our feet. It should just be a
yeah.
fucking sphere. There shouldn't be a flat explanation for every goddamn proof of the globe. There shouldn't be a flat
Yeah.
earth alternative. It's just
Yeah, it's not even wiggle room anymore. It's just pathetic. I mean, the pile of evidence for flat Earth is this
uh,
high, and I mean, maybe a little sliver, for the
the
globe.
thing is that
I
it's
mean,
too
but when it comes
convenient.
to like
Like
the stars and stuff,
my logic tells me, here's what my brain says. My brain says this. Okay, fine. Okay, it could be a globe, it could be flat, right? Okay, obviously it looks flat and it feels stationary to us. All right, that's already a bad start for the globe side. It's a terrible start for the globe side. But like it just makes me wonder if it makes me. You know what? My theory right now on this whole globe thing is that I feel like it was created by a bunch of butthurt little nihilistic Satanist atheists, and it's just the facts, man. I think, and I don't think it was created by one little satanic atheist, maybe 100, sorry, maybe 1,000, 2,000 years ago, but I think collectively they all kind of
mhm.
saw, like, maybe Pythagoras proposed something, and then a couple centuries later, another butthurt, bitter atheist Satanist was like, "Oh, I like that spinning ball thing. Okay, how about this? Oh, we need gravity. That's how we stick to the underside." So it's been compiled over time, this grand conspiracy, and I think it's just the wiggle room. The fact that every time you have your globe proof, you also got your little flat Earth alternative that also works. Wiggle room, to quote Neil deGrasse Tyson. It makes me feel like what the globe might be, it might be the atheists' attempt to, I mean, this isn't breaking news, obviously, to get rid of God, obviously. But the way that they've
Mhm.
crafted the globe, what they've done is they've found the wiggle room of the way we observe the world. They found wiggle room in the way we perceive reality, and they've stuffed the globe in there, and simultaneously they've hijacked every single flat and stationary observation that we can make. So again, like I was saying a moment ago, like you look down a long hallway, and the way that your eyes work, the ceiling will appear to descend into the distance. And if you're watching a sunset, the sun will appear to descend as it gets closer to the distant horizon. Now, is the sun setting because
Mhm.
it's spinning balls orbiting each other, or does the sun appear to set and descend because that's exactly what distant objects do as they get further and further away? So I feel like,
Especially if the sun is a lot closer and a lot smaller,
yeah, I mean,
that it would definitely be like that.
yeah, I bet it is.
Mhm.
Uh, I definitely,
If you would grant me the liberty,
huh?
um, if you would grant me the
Hmm.
liberty, I think probably the initial source would be Satan, especially if you consider all the family bloodlines that are involved with all the secret societies and stuff. And if you have a couple $1 trillion hanging out, to do how you would like, then it would be a piece of cake. to get the world to believe whatever you want, because you just pay all the people who are pumping out the information.
Mm.
And they would obviously, if you look into it enough and you start to really examine what the Bible says and what's going on. I don't want to push the biblical stuff on any audience, but if you look into it, it would seem pretty clear Satan's running the show when it comes to that deception. Now, as far as the flat Earth, is what I've looked into, and you can check this out also. There's a lot of information out there on YouTube. It seems like a lot of people in the world didn't really even believe in the globe Earth, even up until the late 1800s. It wasn't a thing. Even way back in Columbus's day, when he was in the 1500s, a lot of people were still saying, nah, he just went somewhere else. Like, apparently that was the narrative was, no, it's not a globe. It's still flat. And it wasn't until a lot of stuff got pumped in really heavy in the late 1800s and early 1900s with the, especially with the beginning stages of public school in the U.S.
Television.
Yeah, it becomes a real mess. Oh yeah, it becomes a
The
very
Matrix was actualized.
Yep. So, 2 questions for you.
Sure.
I've been curious about how this has been hitting your dad, because you mentioned way back in the day that he's still like, nah.
Oh, I got a video coming out. Hopefully, I'll get it out tomorrow. Oh man. Oh, my dad he's going through those withdrawal symptoms, man. He's going through those globe withdrawal symptoms. He
Oh, amen.
look, okay, so I started recording because it was too good, but I mean with my dad, I recorded my dad because I was here, at his house. I was visiting his house, and I was listening to Nathan Oakley's show, The Flat Earth Debate, which, if anyone's watching, go subscribe. It's like it's my obsession. I listen to it probably I listen to every morning. Like it's just too good to be true. But anyway, so go subscribe to Nathan Oakley Flat Earth Debate channel. But there was a globe believer on the panel in the debate, and there was a flat earther, and they were going back and forth. But when I started playing the video, my dad was in the room, and I started playing the video when the globe guy was talking, and he was just chewing out the flat earther. He's like, "You freaking..." Oh, sorry, I completely got that backwards. The flat earther was chewing out the globe guy, and the flat earther was just railing in on the glober. He's like, "You freaking globe tards, you guys are completely retarded. You don't know what you're talking about. You globers are so stupid. You don't..." And my dad got really triggered. Bless my father. He's a great man, but he got super triggered. And I have my theories on why the globers get so triggered. But so we got into a back and forth, and he's like, "Well, if you're having a debate and you're trying to convince someone, you shouldn't attack them personally like that." And my dad was telling me, he's like, "You shouldn't do that." And I'm like, bro, flat earthers are the most ridiculed, stigmatized group of people in the world, and you're worried that one flat earther calls a glober a globetard in a debate? You don't even know that.
Yeah, and attention globers, like we're going on the offensive soon. Like we're just sick of it. We're sick of being patient and gracious and kind and just giving everyone the warning. Watch out, because you really what globers don't understand is they I don't think they realize what kind of people they're dealing with, like the amount of research and effort that has gone into this study. And you're not dealing with any rookies here. Like we've been patient, and pretty soon we're just going to turn all of you guys into public mockeries. So watch out.
Yeah, in the intellectual discourse, it's not going to look good. But yeah, so my dad was basically, he got pretty triggered, and I think the reason was because globers aren't used to being ridiculed. Globers are used to being in the consensus, being in the majority.
There you go.
So yeah, he got really triggered, and I was like, "Hey, I mean, calm down. Let's just discuss this." Like, and you don't know all the shit that globers say to flat earthers. Globers love the ridicule. They call them retarded, flatards. Both sides are doing it. So I think my dad was just a little bit butthurt because
But only one side is substantiated with a pile of evidence.
one side is substantiated with a bunch of evidence. The other one has a bunch of wiggle room, ad hoc, plastering together.
And plus, the one side that has that pile of evidence also has the the testimony of the oldest document known to man. So
Yeah.
that's true too. I think you hit it right on the head. Like what I like to tell people is, I mean, most people have had to deal with fraud before, like where you just got, where you had something and I mean, someone took a lot of your money or whatever the case may be. You lost a whole lot of time or something. You know that feeling you get when you got, when you got taken, and when you find out that it's your whole life, especially unfortunately for the elderly, like the people who are 50, 60 and beyond, like when you find out your whole life that you've been swindled, that is a hard pill, man. That is, a lot of people who are Globers who turn into flat earthers have this period of time in their life where they're furious. You know what I mean? Like they're disgusted with what they see now and I'm one of them. I went through a period where I was very, very angry because I got used and abused. Yeah. And as soon as someone is willing to be honest and just kind of let it go, and you release that part of your ego and say, okay, they got me. Now it's time to start over. Yeah. And anyway, I interrupted you.
No, that's it. I mean, that's true. I mean, I can't say I've gone through any anger, but maybe that's because I haven't put down the globe yet. Maybe when I put down the globe, I'll be like, I can't believe I was lied to. I don't know what the hell's gonna happen. I don't see any fury on the horizon, but who the hell knows? But
it might not happen to everyone either. But it's, I would say, especially for older people, it probably will happen more often for them.
I agree. I do notice a lot of emotionalism from older age Globers. They just take it really personally that you're questioning their little spinning hamster wheel reality.
And as soon as they see the evidence, the brain subconsciously is going to start working out. It's going to start getting upset. You can conceal it for a while, but subconsciously the brain is working out the details for you. And
well, the thing is that the spinning ball comes with its own religious beliefs and connotations. And when I say religious, I don't mean like Christian. I mean like the religion of physicalism, the religion of atheism. Like, I remember, my dad, years ago, he ordered this catalog. It's like a series of books on the universe. I think it was like Wonders of the Universe. This was like back before the internet was a actual thing. So he would get these would get these books that would be delivered in monthly installments, and it'd become part of a big library, and every installment was on a different topic, dark matter, and he would just read and go, and like I'm telling you, like his religion was formed. Reading deeply, watching the Science Channel.
Are in that same boat. Yeah, most of us loved all that space shit. Like we loved I was a huge Star Trek fan. Star Trek convention, I got pictures with Captain Picard and all that stuff. But like we were really into it. So yeah, it's because I loved lining my walls with stuff that made me look really smart to people. And I never actually checked. And it hasn't been until the last 3 or 4 years that we just decided to check. We throw up some balloons and we're checking. We finally get a camera that can essentially broadcast almost immediately what we're seeing. I mean, if anyone would have been doing these experiments over the water with the telescope 20 years ago, it wouldn't really have mattered. You would just have to listen to a guy say, "Yeah, I still saw the ship," and everyone's like, "Okay." But now that you have it on video at full HD, you zoom in. I mean, you can zoom in better than most people's home telescopes. Yeah. And anyway, sorry I interrupted you.
No, that's exactly right. Well, it's funny,
One more question.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, my last question, this probably will go longer than what you had in mind, but since I've noticed you saying a lot of these things about atheism and, like satanic and a lot of the stuff that you've, kind of focused on in a while, I've wondered if you've actually looked into the Bible. And I'm not trying to push anything on you or any of your audience, but I'm curious because I like to tell people in this way. Like, did you ever watch Monty Python?
I saw one of the movies. I think one of Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I saw that. Yeah.
Right. So it was a sketch comedy show, and they had one sketch one time where it was a joke that was so good it kills you, and so it was kind of like this conspiracy in a sense that or a rumor that there was a joke going around, but it was so good that you would die. And so on the show, you see from far away a guy telling the guy a joke and he laughs himself to death, and it's pretty funny. And yeah, I don't even really know exactly what the point of the sketch
Mm.
was, but uh, the Bible is very similar. Like, would you read a book that was so incredible that it would render you incapable of ever telling anyone how incredible it was? It basically make you sound like a mumbling fool like me right now.
Are you asking rhetorically, or do you
And
want
the
me to
reason
answer
why,
the question?
a little of both, yeah.
Okay.
So like, the idea is like, after you've already been, become familiar with all this flat earth stuff, and then you say, well, this might be, in a sense, and I'm not really comfortable using this world but using this word, but this might in a sense be a magical type of world, like a running, functioning program. And there might be one single window into how all of this is happening, and I'm just letting you know, as an atheist who was nagged at his whole life by a bunch of Christian friends, all they could do, they had nothing left in them. All they had was they would plead, can you please read this
Hmm.
thing? And I was like, whatever, But when you read it, I can't. It's by far the most transformational book on the planet, by far. And I would include also the Book of Enoch. Do you know who
I've
Enoch
heard that
is?
it's like a book that's part, but like not really known very well or whatever.
It seems that there's a concerted effort to keep it hidden as well. You're probably familiar with Noah.
Yeah.
So Enoch was Noah's great grandfather, seventh descendant of Adam, the first man ever on the earth. And Enoch wrote a book. It's literally the first book that has ever been written. If for the people who believe in it. And what's funny about the Book of Enoch is it basically gives a grand summary of the entire Bible, thousands of years before the Bible was ever around.
Hmm.
And it talks in great depth about what the world is, and hands down, it's a flat Earth book.
Huh.
It's corroborative with the Bible, and I would definitely look
I
into
will.
it, even if you're not, for people who don't even still want to, kind of touch on the religious angle, because I know, it can be a touchy subject, but if you read it, it's pretty incredible.
Hmm.
So anyway, to answer my question, you in the Bible, I think you're ready for the next level. So I was wondering if you've looked into it yet.
I mean, I went through a phase like a decade ago, like when I was just out of high school, I think, where I had a friend he was like everywhere. He'd be atheist one month, Christian the next month, Muslim the next. Like, I mean, the guy was everything. He was so desperately
Mm-hmm.
searching that like he went everything and back many times.
Mm-hmm.
And he he helped convert me to being a Christian. I mean, I don't know how official I could say I was a Christian. Honestly, I was really just believing in it out of desperation because I was struggling with
Mm-hmm.
insane anxiety at the time. I had just gone through like
Yeah.
my first like panic attack, and I was just
Mm-hmm.
so existentially terrified that I my friend was like, "You need to read the Bible and this and that." I resist the hell of it, and eventually I'm just like, "Okay, fine. I'm a Christian now, and I believe it, whatever." And I bought a Bible, and it helped me get through my anxiety because I guess I had faith in like God was helping me, but I was still like suffering tremendously with anxiety. Um, so I
Mm-hmm.
read the Bible, but never read it in full, and I just kind of flipped through it, and it was like a phase that lasted maybe a month, and then I got over it. So I can't say I know really that much about it, man. Maybe it's time to go pull it out and see if what happens.
Yeah, if you want, one real way, a nice way to kind of, I would say, first of all, my experience is very similar. Every time I tried to get a chance, it was just kind of doing it because everyone told me to. And it
Hey,
wasn't until I was
hold
able
up,
to
man.
learn.
I think when you moved your mic, I think you may have loosened the cable. It's a little off.
How's
It's
that?
still a little garbled. Hang on one quick second. Let me. Still
Check.
garbly.
Oh,
Yeah. Let me
no.
just click the mute and unmute button on the Google Hangout here, and could you try that out? Click the mute mic button, and then
Yeah. How's this?
it's still all staticky. I think Satan's intervening, bro.
Damn it.
Hold up. Let me turn my camera off as well. Well, my camera's already off. Um, how about could you try turning your camera off on the Google Hangout there? Just click the little button. Just see
Yeah.
if that cleans it up. I was pretty sure it was around the time you moved your mic. It kind of got fuzzy.
This any
No,
better?
it's still bad.
Dang.
Okay.
Let me try something here real
Yeah, give
quick.
that a shot. If not, I'll just send you a new Hangout link, and hopefully that'll clear it
All
up. I
right.
don't know what the hell would cause that.
Is this an improvement
Oh,
at
that
all?
sounds perfect.
All
I don't know what you
right.
did, but it sounds crystal clear now.
Okay.
Satan
um,
defeated. Yeah.
yeah. So my experience was, I would read it like you mentioned, it would last a month or so. But when my mind, in fact, in the Bible they talk about the parable of the sower, and basically it means when your mind and your heart is ready to read the Bible as if it is a literal history book, like as if it was, as if it is the truth, and when you're able to abandon the whole crazy mess of the atheist relativistic globe. I really do think the globe is one gigantic hurdle, one obstacle that impedes someone's ability to read the Bible,
Yeah.
the way that you would have been if you were a child and you had never been distorted with the whole globe nonsense, and you had been told you're in a creation right
Yeah.
now, like you are in an actual functioning program as a living human, and and you have a connection with the Creator.
It's almost
And
like the
when
flat
you
Earth can do that. Like,
that's
I was saying it the
yeah.
other day in a live stream. Like when you look at a sunset, you can't just sit there and witness a sunset. You
Hmm.
have to say, oh, the sun isn't descending because of perspective, because that's the way my subjective experience, my soul sees the world. You have to slam all this logical, intellectual sort of brainwashing in between you and the sunset.
Hmm.
The spinning ball Earth, and the sun is a billion miles away, and the space, and all this shit. Like it's almost like the flat Earth itself is self-evident proof of creation, of some kind of thing that was created, um, and just like how you're saying that the Bible can have that effect where you're just like it reaches out to you. I think that when you take out the globe brainwashing, it's almost like the flat Earth is the greatest. It makes me wonder if you didn't have the globe brainwashing, would merely existing and experiencing reality be the fucking
Yep.
obvious proof that there's more going on
Yep.
here? And it makes me wonder if you even need a Bible, but I'm sure you think it's necessary. But
Perhaps not at first, like you're saying. I mean, that experience you're going through is profound. But yeah, eventually you're going to want to take a look into it. I'm going to share my screen one
mhm.
more time with you here. This is my channel, just to help you out and anyone else who's interested. For those who don't really want to dive into the monumental task of reading the entire Bible, you have. I put these online. I call it the Biblical Grand Summary, and I have a New Testament one and an Old Testament one, and they're essentially like graphic novel, comic bookish kind of. It's a whole summary of the Bible, and it would take about 10 hours to get all the way through, but you would essentially cram in what would take someone about maybe 6 months or so to pick up on, and you can do it in 10 hours, and you'll get a really good. Now the guys who make this are globers, from what I can tell, because they show the world as a globe, which is not really that big of a deal, but um, for your guys' purposes, if you don't feel like reading it, that's one really good starting point. And then if my claim is that you'll be as interested after, by the time you get done, that you'll actually go in and read from the source, and it's pretty incredible.
Right.
So I didn't make them. I mirrored them from another channel called Bible Project, but so you can go onto their actual channel if you feel like, or you can just watch it because they don't have it all in a row, nice and neat, in one video for you
Yeah,
to
I'll take
see.
a look
But
at that.
you know,
I'll definitely take a look at that.
yeah. When it comes to the flat earth and talking about the implications and its relation to God and the Bible, I would say the situation is urgent. It definitely is an emergency that people know this information. It's a desperate situation. Uh, when you look into it, you might start agreeing with everyone else and saying that it would appear the end is coming very soon.
Uh huh.
And um, yeah, it's desperate. It's a desperate. It always has been, really, because we're told to be ready all the time. But boy, there's a lot of stuff going down in the world that is corroborated with the Bible.
Right.
And like I said, terrifying, absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
In a good way. Like, not, I'm not saying that we stay up all night shivering, but you know what I mean. It's yeah, it's incredible. That's how I would describe it.
Right.
Amen.
Um, yeah, well, I mean, I think if I looked at it with fresh eyes, especially with this whole, flat Earth thing, um, I
Hallelujah.
think, yeah, I think it could
Hallelujah.
have an effect. Um,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
so I definitely have to look into that again for sure. Like I've heard a lot of stuff about the Bible and people connecting it to flat Earth. Like I heard a ton of stuff, so it's definitely not new
Yeah.
to me, but I haven't looked into it very deeply yet. So,
How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. That's from Amazing
uh,
Grace. That's exactly how I would describe it. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first
huh,
believed. It's when your mind is open and willing to really read it as if it was an actual history book.
that's crazy, man.
So,
That's a
mhm.
very different way to look at the Bible because it's been reduced nowadays to parables and myths and legends and stuff. It's no
Yeah.
one thinks of it as literally real.
And, and that's all thanks to the Freemason, child prison indoctrinated public school, um, just like esoteric academic limptic, uh, university system. It's a terrible relationship with all of those forces.
Right,
Ultimately, and I know I'm making a big stretch here, but ultimately stemming back to Satan,
right.
which I would have never in my life imagined I would say before 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a crazy awakening. It is. It's insane. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. What do you think?
I was going to ask you,
Besides what
I
you,
mean, at this point, what do you think Satan is? You think is Satan a person? Is it just what the Bible says, fallen angel or whatever the hell? Like, I mean, is it some type of a spiritual force in a human body that's going to present itself? Like, what do you think? Like, what's your take on that and his plan or its plan?
well, I suppose my guess would be a little of all the above. So, fallen angel, apparently can take human form or appear like us, and then can, if maybe, if he changes his mind, can appear like something else. Um, he seems to be bound here somehow, so he's walking around and chilling with us, and at least that's what it seems to be.
That's crazy.
Um, I have a feeling if I ever if I would ever to meet him, he would probably be very enticing. He would probably, either he or she, if he decided to take the form of a girl, it would be something that I would be very very difficult to resist. It says in the Bible, an angel of light, and it's very attractive and something along those
Yeah.
lines.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I don't really know. I'm pretty sure most people probably don't, except for the ones who claim to have met him. And there's a handful of people who have, especially in Hollywood and in music and all that stuff. There's a lot of people who just seem to say that crazy stuff. They say, I met the devil. And for a long time in my life, I just thought they were trying to sound cool, sound kind of, like, sound dangerous or sound just interesting or cool, but maybe they met the devil. You know what I mean? The devil. Like, now that I've been introduced to all the flat Earth stuff and read through the Bible and become really familiar, oh man, that's hard to say.
Where do you think flat Earth is going, man? You think it has the potential to like really become a seriously mainstream thing that contests the globe? You think it has like a legit potential?
Oh yeah, it's already started. Yeah, there's already people going to school board meetings and they're saying that we're sick of the school teaching all of these falsities, or at least teaching stuff that they don't have any substantiation for by experiment or
Yeah.
evidence. And I mean, it's just going to keep getting worse. Now, I would imagine YouTube's probably going to put the kibosh on it and wipe it out, and so it's going
Yeah.
to basically come back down to like an organic word of mouth kind of thing, which will make things tough.
Yeah.
But they're definitely going to try to fight it. But yeah, the momentum is already brewing, and it's not going to stop. I mean, you're dealing with people who once they got introduced and they're looking into the flat Earth stuff, and they go from atheist all the way to fundamentalist, and that's, I mean, people People don't go that far for fun.
Biblical literalist.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be dealing with people who are, yeah, they're not going to want to, they're not going to take kindly to messing with the Bible and yeah, it's brewing. It's going to get worse, and it's definitely it's going to be a big problem in the church as well because there's a lot of Christians, especially pastors, who are trying to stop it being talked about and not even looking into it. Now, my personal pastor, he's recoiling from it as well, but he's at least I mean, he's an open-minded guy and he's very intelligent and he's looking into it and he's still kind of doing it on the in a sense trying to debunk it, but he's finding more and more each day that it's a battle not worth fighting. It's yeah, I'm sure he's going to be there soon. I'm sure he's going to be joining us, and it'll be a problem. It'll be a problem in the church, and it's going to be a problem in the world. I would guess in the next year or two, it's going to be something that people are going to be talking about in mainstream, and it's going to become an issue.
I think so too. I think it's what's gonna happen first is you're gonna get like the mainstream television debunking type things, like the National Geographic and the Discovery Channel debunking episodes. They've already done it. The Stephen Hawking thing from I don't know, a couple years ago,
Yeah,
which was you've probably seen the debunkings of the Stephen Hawking episode on the proof of the curve, the proof of the spinning globe.
yeah, they fail miserably. Yeah,
That shit is
I
so
remember
full of
that. I remember
holes.
what's the MythBusters thing. They go up, and I mean, there's already been guys who've shown that they're full of crap, and yeah, so that's probably gonna keep rolling out for a while. But I mean, it's too easy. The internet is too available, and people are just gonna keep typing in stuff, and they're gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's even easier when when someone tries to tell you that you're a fool, and you say, "Well, there's a guy who's waiting with $5,000, to pay someone to turn me into an idiot, to put me back in my place." And I'm open-minded enough. I'll go back to the globe if someone's willing to bring an experiment and bring that evidence. And I've heard, I don't know the guy's name off the top of my head, but there's a guy with a $100,000 challenge at Myrtle Beach, and he's a surveyor, and he said, "I'll go toe to toe with anyone who's willing to bet $100,000, and we're going to do Myrtle Beach, if I'm not mistaken, is um, the longest public beach in the country. I think it's about 60 or 80 miles
Damn.
long, and so he's going to survey the entire beach for anyone willing to go up to the challenge to prove that there's no curvature whatsoever."
God, that's
And when
crazy.
you're talking about surveying equipment and all that stuff, I mean, come on, 100 grand. If it's that obvious, if we're so retarded because the Earth is obviously a globe, come on, who wouldn't want to make 100
Yeah,
grand? So no one's stepping up, man. No one's
that's
stepping up.
crazy.
Not even the big whoop-de-doo organizations that, I mean, I know every worthless university, science lab could use 100
Yep.
grand. So where are they at? Will the real Slim Shady please stand
Exactly.
up?
My
Hmm.
God.
Amen to that.
My God, man.
Yeah.
Ah, so what do you think? Is there an edge?
Oh boy, yeah. Because I've thought of that myself. Yes, I would think so. I think that I think Antarctica is probably close to the edge and that we are encapsulated in a hard dome that even the government has been trying to blast through since the 40s. I don't know if you've heard of Operation
Yes, yes.
Fishbowl, but yeah, so for your audience purposes, they were shooting nukes into the sky trying to blow through it. Um, there was a lady, and I can't remember her name, and I'm sorry, I probably should be a lot better at this, but she did an experiment with a blimp one time above, I want to say New York or England or wherever, and she was going to wait up there until the globe passed underneath her, and then she was going to end up in some other city, and that never happened. Well, the same lady went to Antarctica and died when she was out there. She went by herself on a snowmobile, apparently. And the guy who found her body some odd years later, there was a little sticky note. All she had was a little sticky note, and it said, "I found it,"
Damn,
whatever
that's
that means.
goosebumps right there, bro.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
yeah, yeah.
Jesus
So,
Christ, that's goosebumps, man. Whew. Holy
yep,
fuck.
yep,
Oh, man.
yep. Another guy I would look into is a guy named Ron Wyatt, and he was the guy who claimed to have found Noah's Ark, I think in the late 70s or early 80s, and he also claimed to have found the Ark of the Covenant with Jesus's blood on it, and took it to a lab. And he was in Jerusalem at the time, so he took it to a Jewish lab and asked them to, um, do it to examine the blood. And it came back. And first thing that happened was they said you're not supposed to be able to get a chromosome count from dry dead blood, but we can see a chromosome count, and there's only 24 chromosomes. But even though we can tell it's human, it's definitely human. Um, and there was 23 chromosomes on his. We're supposed to have 46, so there's 23 chromosomes on his mother's side, and on his father's side had one single Y chromosome.
Huh.
And they put it in some other kind of, I don't know, I think they call it a culture, where they stick it on like a sponge or something and they spin it around or whatever they do. And it's, if it's living blood, it's supposed to grow stuff, but they're like, well, don't bother, it's already dry and dead. But he's like, just do this for me, please. And they did the experiment. He came back 3 days later. He said, I want to be there when you open it up. And they said, okay. And they opened it up, and sure enough, it was growing as if it was living blood. And they said, whose blood is this? And he said, it's the blood of your Messiah.
Holy shit.
And they're like, oh man. And he talks about how, how their lives were changed because of that and everything. So there is an element of spiritual, what we would call magic,
sure,
in this world, even though it's not magic, but it's power. It would be God's power, but there's no doubt an element of that going on somehow that we can't see, that we have some very small window to tap into somehow,
right.
And it has to do with, with service and with obedience to God, and following Christ, and a whole other mess of just stuff that comes along with a beautiful life.
Yeah, I've thought lately. I've been thinking about, like, well, if there is an edge, that would be that would be the ultimate attraction. Like, screw Disneyland. I mean, if people could go to the edge, if people could touch this invisible wall that you can't get past, I mean, not only would it be the greatest attraction in the world, but I think it would shock God right into them, because I think that's what edges do. Like, it's something I used to contemplate to this day, obviously, but when I was a kid, I would ask my parents, what's at the edge? It's funny because we all ask these questions when we're young. We all ask these kind of little questions. I remember, I actually remember the moment that my dad told me we live on a spinning ball thanks to gravity. I remember it. For some reason, I remember where I was standing. I remember looking up, because he was twice my size, looking up at him, and he was, and he was like explaining gravity. I remember that for some reason. But I also remember thinking about the edge. What's the edge of the universe? And then, like, what's on the other side of that? And it's a question that you have to ask. I think it's because an edge implies a boundary, and a boundary provokes the question, well, what's on the other side? And if you can't get to the other side of that boundary, it's almost like an admission of your limitation, that you are not everything, that you are lacking, that there's something bigger beyond that. In this case, it'd probably be some kind of a god or a creator or something. So yeah, I think that's something about edges, something about the finite limit to your world. I think it has the power to awaken people, and that's another irony of the globe, is that there are no edges. Literally, there are no edges on a globe. It's just you end up right back where you started, and not only are there no edges, like, it's actually a smooth surface. There's no edge, there's no boundary on a globe. And I think that's the thing. It's almost like they're always trying to push everything further and further away. With an edge, like, you don't have to think about where the edge of the universe is if it's, 40 billion light years away from us, and there's 80,000 galaxies between us and the whatever edge of the universe is. Like, it seems like it's all about pushing these existential questions further and further away, to the point that you just fucking forget about it.
Yeah, it's too overwhelming. You're just like, oh, okay, well, everything's a gazillion light years away. Okay, well, whoop-de-doo. You just say, okay, forget it. Here's something interesting, if I can screen share with you again. I was showing this to my wife, who was not a believer, and I was showing her this is with stars with the P900, and just because you asked what's on the other side, let's see here. Well, if I can get it going.
The
Why aren't you working?
waters.
So I was showing her this, and I said, look right behind the star, just keep watching. And I said, What does that look like to you? And then she's looking for a while, and I said, does it look like the intersecting lines of a swimming pool?
Yeah.
And she looked at it for a while, and she said, well, yeah. And I said, you want to take a wild guess what the Bible says is on the other side of the sky? And it says there's water. And there, with the same question that we all asked, we all had when we were kids, well, why is the sky blue? And they always gave some,
It's
ridiculous
reflecting
response
the
about
ocean.
all the light going through the prism and all that stuff, and yada 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 yada. Something about blue doesn't escape it. Yeah, but no one understands it when they say it. No one understands it when they hear it. Or it could just be water.
Exactly.
We could just be in a giant aquarium essentially. And that's, I mean,
Oh my
when you
God.
say what's at the edge, it's probably, I mean, there's a guy named Rob Skiba, if
I
you haven't
have.
heard of him, and he has kind of a neat little model that I think he put together where it shows all of this earth with a dome, and it's kind of in another bigger looking sort of
Hmm.
aquarium, and we're just kind of like a womb, we're just in this thing temporarily while it says in the Bible that God's going to come back and fix everything that Adam screwed up, so we're just kind of like in this limbo period, and our life here is kind of like a strange, I don't know, I don't want to call it a test, but it's like a weird limbo period, where in the Bible it talks about there's these people called the elect, and after Jesus comes back and takes care of all the business that's going on and fixes all the problems with the earth, there's these people called the elect, which would be us. We're the ones who survived the first screwed up program. We're the ones who inside that couldn't see the spiritual world, but we figured it out. We took the time to look into it, and we're called the elect. And for the rest of eternity, there's going to be this percentage of people that the percentage is going to keep getting smaller as more and more people keep getting born, in heaven, so to speak. But we're going to be the ones that get to walk around for eternity being like, we're the ones who figured it out. We're the ones that had to put it all together, and it's going to be a neat little classification. Not like we're better than anyone who's going to be there, but it's just going to be, we're going to have that little medal, if you want to think of it that way.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I
And
mean, it's like, I mean that's a pretty badass accomplishment. Like, I mean, you
yep, yeah, and the Bible talks about that. About we get to be the elect. We're the ones who, yeah, exactly like what you just mentioned. We accomplished it. We
could I
figured it out.
ask you? I mean, the Bible makes a lot of predictions, right? Like the Book of Revelations talks in exquisite detail about the this and the Satan's taken over and the seven nations or whatever and all this stuff, but it doesn't. Does it ever say anything about and Satan will deceive you about the nature of reality? Like,
It does say Satan will deceive the whole world, which might mean, everyone on the world, but it might be talking about the world. He's changed the
yeah,
world. You know what I mean? Like the world is flat, but he changed it to a
yeah,
globe.
deceive the whole
It
world.
could be one way of looking at it. I'm not really sure. Revelation that is a hard book to read. There's a lot of references to old school Hebrew stuff, and I mean, I'm not completely up to speed on it. I've looked a lot into it, but yeah, it's difficult to
Hmm.
decipher that thing. But yeah, it does mention that. There's a lot of other stuff that goes on too in Israel, talking about a third temple being built, and as the Trump moved the embassy now from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. My personal prediction is I think the embassy itself, or there might be a temple that's built that's going to be some kind of like all inclusive one world kind of, all the liberal
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
nonsense, and that's going to be probably the third temple that's referred to in the Bible. And once that temple gets built, holy hell, there's there are words that I don't want to say, because I don't want to curse, but yeah, I'll forget it. There's gonna be some shit going down once that temple gets built, And if people by that point are not paying attention after all these years of people talking about the temple and the Bible and Revelation and prophecy and that stuff, then the flat Earth is one excellent way to open their eyes up and to hit them with a brick wall.
Yeah.
You know.
Crazy
Hmm.
stuff. Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I gotta look into that Bible thing.
Please do. Please do. It's for your own good.
Um,
Yeah. And I can't see you right now, so I can't tell if you're.
I have
I
a
can't see your face.
stern. My eyebrows are furrowed with a
Ah,
stern
all
and
right.
contemplative look. Yes. Yeah. No, it's all very
Hmm.
interesting. It's very crazy stuff, and I still can't believe I'm here. I still can't believe that I'm like fucking actually considering whether or not we've been lied to about the globe. Like it's a little hard to believe sometimes, and it just sounds ridiculous because it seems too great a lie. It seems too great a conspiracy. It's almost too good to be true. It's almost just too crazy. And life was just so much simpler when I thought I lived on a spinning ball. It was just so much simpler. It's like,
Yep.
live on a spinning ball. They got space figured out, and there's no purpose to anything. It's just a bunch of space rocks
Yeah.
flying around. Whatever. Sun's gonna engulf Earth, in 3 billion years. I mean, all life is gonna get extinguished. I remember when I heard that for the first time when I was young. I remember it made me terrified. It scared the crap out of
Hmm.
me. It was really,
Hmm.
really a nasty thing to tell kids that the sun's gonna turn off, or I don't even know what it was back then in the fucking 90s, but oh, the sun's
Yeah.
gonna shut off and it's gonna in billions of years, and
Collapse the
we're just gonna
nuts,
yeah, we're gonna
explode.
freeze over, and everything's gonna die. I remember that made me so sad. It made me so deeply sad. I was like, everything's gonna end. Oh my God. But
Mm-hmm.
it almost
It was a
seems
simple
like
life, but
it
empty.
almost seems like a child abuse. It's almost like a sick thing.
Yeah.
Like, why would you tell a kid that? Why would why would you tell? It's almost like someone who gets off on inflicting
Yeah.
fear into kids or something.
One of the most confident things I say these days, and I'm a teacher, so I grew up in the public education system. I currently work in the public education system. Uh, Public education is by far, and I mean by far, the most poisonous, abusive experience you can give a child. It is straight up
Hmm.
poison. Just like you said, it's abuse and poison.
Yeah, 100%
It's
without a doubt.
it's yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
couldn't put my kid in a public school and like sleep at night.
oh
I
God,
just don't
no.
know I could do it.
God.
You know.
Yeah. I get teachers who I work with who are asking like, "Well, when are you going to bring your kids to school?" And put them in enroll them, and I'm just like, you know,
Not for me.
no, 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 no.
But
I
that's the
don't need them
thing. It's
anywhere
like
near you
that.
guys.
That's well, the thing is like I like even Kanye West just the other day he's posting videos to like his Twitter, like he's working with some alternative school guy who in Miami here who like freaking makes just a whole different approach to education that isn't this public school factory of regurgitation and just soul sucking misery. So yeah, I mean, I think people are definitely
Yeah.
waking up that there's alternatives, and there is a lot of peer pressure. There's a lot of peer pressure to put your kids in public school. There's a lot of peer pressure to put
Oh
your
yeah.
kids into a traditional school. Like, it's kind of fucked up. It's kind of fucked up that when making decisions for your kids, fear of ridicule and rejection from others actually goes into the equation. You would hope it'd be a purely is it good or is it bad decision, but a lot of people are under
And
pressure.
these yeah, and these self-righteous, impotent blowhards that run these public schools, um, they very badly want the school to be a hub for the community where the kids are there all the time. Every single year, they recommend more and more programs to come after school where they literally want the kids there until 8 or 9 p.m., from like 7 or 8 in the morning until 8 or 9 p.m. It is insane, absolutely insane. Not only are they filling them with
Horrific.
just pig vomit hogwash, but they want to keep the kids away from the families so the people who know what's really happening don't get to give them that truth. And I mean, don't do it. Don't do it. I can't express to you enough, people. As a teacher myself, for in God's sake, take your kids out of public school. Just make it work. It is poison. It is absolute
I've
poison.
thought about
Poison.
becoming Amish if I ever have kids. I'm like I'm gonna fucking become Amish. I think the Amish got her. I was watching like there was like this clip on YouTube. Megan Kelly was interviewing this girl. I escaped from an Amish community and it was so terrible and now I'm reintegrated and but they taught me that the earth was flat and that I could fall off the edge. And I'm like fuck. I'm
Oh,
like fuck.
really?
Uh, the Amish got it right, bro. I mean, I don't know, but I don't know if I ever have kids. I think I might go Amish or something, man. That way, you're just surrounded by people who think like you, who reject the system. I mean, I don't know too much about the Amish, but I don't know, man, because it's hard. I don't. it seems difficult to raise kids outside the public school system while living amongst the mainstream of society. So, um,
The most functional family unit that you'll have is a biblical one. I wouldn't say that you have to go Amish. I mean, of course, it would make things a lot easier, but you could still survive just as well in the real screwed up world as long as it is embedded very clearly what the actual world
yeah,
is. And the only way to truly do that is with a functional biblical, understanding with that foundation.
yeah,
And then they'll be able to. I mean, my 6-year old right now she can get through. She can decipher through all the crap of the globe world. When people talk about, she sees a globe, in in the store, and she already knows that it's crap. So I'm not that worried
yeah.
about it. But yeah, they're going to keep invading. They're going to try every day. They're going to keep just sticking their nasty little claws into everything they can, just like the government does and everyone
Yeah.
else. It's Anyway,
Yep.
thanks for my
No, no, it's
rant.
all good.
It was nice to get that
It's a
out
great rant.
finally.
It's a great rant.
Yeah.
All right, we've been going for we've been going for about an hour and a half. That's not too long. Um, well, I
Yeah.
guess is there anything else you wanted to drop in there, or mention, or ask, or anything else?
Yeah. It was great, man. I hope we get to do it again, or maybe even on my own website challenge. Hopefully we'll get to work together. But my once again, my YouTube channel is Flattening Atheism. The website is challengetheflatearth.com, where you can get. I don't know if I haven't posted yet, but you can get shirts like this, Gravity. It's got electrolytes. For all those who understand the reference, I'm sure they're chuckling right now. And yeah, great to have me, man, or great to be on your show. I'm glad you had me.
No, man, thanks for coming on, and it was another great conversation, and I think we can probably do it again. I think there's a lot more to be said, and we'll definitely do it again much sooner. Um, yeah, I guess that's the essence of it. Let me just give some closing remarks here. Thank
Yeah.
you to everybody for watching and hanging in there this far. This is it. This is it. And no, flat Earth to me is not a troll. I'm not just bored or just being silly and joking. Um, I don't consider myself to be stupid. I'm not just some moron who's just falling for some conspiracy nonsense. I've had many moments in the last 2 years where the thought that we might have been lied to about where we live is pretty scary. It's actually really scary. Like, you're like, wait a minute, but if we don't live on a globe, then where do we live? And then, like, it's scary. Then you think about, wait a minute, that means that they're all lying. How pernicious and widespread is this deception? This is too much. It's terrifying. I don't
Yeah.
want to believe this. I mean, part of me kind of does, because
Mhm.
it's just, it'd make the atheist physicalist morons look so stupid if it turned out to be flat.
Yeah.
And just as a general lesson in life about, you know, being a true open-minded skeptic, if it turned out to be flat, it would be the ultimate lesson. Like, don't take anything for granted. Don't just believe things blindly, and be willing to look into everything. But yeah, this is where I've come to right now. Where I've come to right now is that all the supposed evidence for the globe, half the time, the mainstream scientists admit that, oh, that technically could work on a flat Earth too. Like, it's just nothing but a bunch of wiggle room, weaseling, and
Mhm.
it's not looking good for the globe. It's not looking good for the globe. Now, I did do some P1000 observations last week, and I got some interesting results. Very different from when I went out last December, but the conditions were also extremely different. There was so much. It was miserably hot and humid, whereas last year it was crisp, cool, calm, and like no humidity. But last week with the
Mhm.
P1000, got some really fucking interesting results. Now, I'm working on the polished video where I'm going to go over all the observations. Hopefully, I'll have it out by the end of this week, by Sunday at the latest. None of it proves the globe, um, but it doesn't prove a perfectly flat surface either, over water, anyways. Um, but it's I it kind of makes the current results a bit inconclusive, because it looked like there was enough of the lighthouse missing. It actually looked like around 70 or 80 feet of the lighthouse was missing, which is what the curve calculators say it should. Now, that doesn't prove that we live in a globe, because it's all about which results do you go with, which observations do you go with. Last December, you can see the trees at the base, at the bottom of the damn thing. So you can literally see like the whole freaking lighthouse. So which one do you go with? And
Sounds like you might have to do it
oh, I
again.
have to do it. I will. In fact, I'll be probably going out this weekend because the weather suddenly dropped and it got a lot cooler this week. Not cold, but it's way cooler than it was last week. So I'm gonna go out this weekend. I'm gonna do it again, see what I get. But inconsistent results don't prove the globe or the flat Earth. They just prove that something's going on. Unless the world becomes a globe one week and then it becomes flat the next week, which I don't think that's part of the admitted model. But
No, we would. That wouldn't be happening without us knowing
yeah,
about
exactly.
it.
Well, God, yeah, who knows? But so yeah, so it's interesting, and my dad got really excited. Like he was like he was out there with the P1000 zooming in on shit before I was. Like I was like trailing behind. He was so eager because I think he was a little. I think he's been thinking about it late at night for the past year, ever since we did that observation last year, and I think it's been kind of eating away at him. So he was eager to get out there and see what the hell he could see, and he was practically celebrating because he saw buildings on the horizon that appeared to be going right down and behind the hard water line. And of course, I know better at this point because I've researched it so much that there's a lot of times there's this mirroring band of reflected, like an inverted mirroring across right above the water,
Yeah.
and it really it obscures the base of buildings, and it makes it seem like the building itself is just falling right behind the water line. It looks like slam dunk proof of globe. And I was trying to tell my dad, look, there's this phenomenon of inverted mirroring. You got to take that into account. He's like, nah, there's no way. Look at it, it's clear. And then later I showed him the pictures up close. I zoomed in. Look, you see that? And he's like, okay, there's more going on here. So he kind of relaxed and chilled out because there's much more to explain. But he was also very resistant, and he was also fighting it. And he was also like, look, man, look. You know, you could always find an excuse. Basically what he was saying is there's always enough wiggle room. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's the point, bro. That's the point. There shouldn't be wiggle room. It should just be a fucking sphere.
Yeah.
All right? If we lived on a sphere and it's the most obvious thing and they shove it down our throats and flat Earth is so stupid, it should just be obvious. There should be wiggle room. So that in and of itself is a massive defeat for the globe. The wiggle room itself is a massive defeat for the globe.
Yeah, because if all that stuff is disappearing over the water, you know, just with a zoom on your P1000, well, then the world is the size of Kansas, right? So then, like when you get up to 120,000 feet, that should be obvious. You know, now, I mean, what's going on when you're standing on the ground should be that much more prevalent when you get up in the sky. And why are there cameras up 20 miles high that show a flat line?
Exactly.
So
you'd think it would be obvious. It's almost like you can spot the curve when you look straight out, but from left to right, you'll never fucking see it no matter how high you go. It's weird. It's
right.
You know, and maybe you could argue that's because you can see further into the distance and you can't see from, you know, your field of view from left to right. But like you said, at 20,000 feet, I mean, if it's disappearing in front of you, I think at 20,000 feet you should probably be able to see something, even though Neil deGrasse Tyson admitted you can't even see curvature from 120,000 feet. He said it on Twitter. Yeah, so
except unless you're a Red Bull jumper doing a stunt, you know, publicity.
Well, that's what Neil Tyson was. He was literally responding to that because people were like, "Oh my God, look, the Red Bull guy saw this curvature, is so amazing." And then Neil Tyson tweeted, "The Red Bull jumper was using a wide-angle lens." This is literally Neil Tyson tweeted this out. He's like, He's like, the Red Bull jumper was using a wide angle lens, and so that creates a distortion and makes it look curved, but you cannot see curvature from 128,000 feet from where the Red Bull jumper was jumping. So Neil Tyson came out and actually basically he basically defended the flat earthers there. I mean, he wasn't trying to do that, but
Yeah.
everybody was saying, look, you can see the curvature. Even Neil Tyson said, no, that's not it. It's a wide angle lens. So,
Yeah. Yep.
anyways, man. So,
Even their horse mom and ass clown prostitute is,
yeah,
yeah,
well, he's
it's
he's
fine.
got his own issues. All right, man. So, look, thanks again.
Mhm.
We'll do this again sooner because there's just so much going on in this debate right now. But okay, guys, thank you all for watching, and thank you, Alan. We'll keep in touch via email.
Thank you too.
Anything else,
Yeah.
bro?
No, thank. Well, I'm just total off
Yeah.
topic, but are you into the Connor and Khabib
Oh
fight this
yeah, yeah.
Saturday? What
I'm
do you
very
think?
much looking forward to it. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah,
I'm not gonna make any predictions. I'm not gonna make any
that's a
predictions.
tough one.
But I don't know. Who do
That's a
you think is
tough
gonna
one.
win?
Well, I mean, I was looking at some stuff, and I know that the one thing that's different than all the other fights Connor has had is there hasn't been a big publicity thing, and a lot of touring around, which at least Joe Rogan says it's because he's training. That's all he's doing is training, 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 and he's not even bothering with all of the the bells
Yeah.
and whistles. So yeah, but Khabib, I mean, that guy's he's tough. He's a killer.
Yeah.
You know what
He
I mean?
mauls
So
people.
I would like to say I think it's going to be Connor, but I'm like you. There wouldn't be any way to tell. I just want to be
Yeah.
there. I just want to
Yeah.
be
Me
there and
too.
watch it.
I'm
So
really like. Yeah. Honestly, that's it. Like, I don't even give a fuck who wins. Honestly, I just want to see it. I just want to enjoy it. So we'll see what happens. I'll probably
yeah.
do a live reaction to it. So there's that. But
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Okay, man. Well, I guess we'll talk soon, brother. Thanks a lot for the conversation.
Thank you
Okay,
too.
man.
Take care
Laters,
now.
bro. Bye.
Holy crap, guys. Can you see that? The Earth is freaking cat. Check them out, guys. The brand new The Earth is Cat t-shirts are now available. They come in a variety of shirts and colors. I also got some great mugs available. Sweater hoods. Get yourself one of these The Earth is Cat t-shirts. I'll put a link to them in the description below. Get one from yourself right now.